I'm writing a Broadway musical in just 30 days. This is day 9. Let's talk about how Dionysus, the prominent god in this myth, differs from his role in this musical. So in the original myth, there are a few versions, but for the most part, Dionysus sends one of his descendants or followers or something of the sort as a beggar to the king. He sends him to test the king, and the king ends up taking him in and nursing him back to health and all these great things that Dionysus looks on very fondly and says, you passed my test, I'll give you whatever you want. And the king asks for wealth. So Dionysus says, okay, if that's what you want, gives him the ability that anything he touches turns into gold. He goes about, he's thinking, oh, this is great. We're gonna be the richest kingdom in the world. I'm turning everything to gold. Very quickly realizes he cannot touch his loved ones or food or water because everything he drinks or tries to consume turns into gold. And in addition to that, a big main pillar of this myth is him turning his daughter into gold accidentally. This is where the two differ. One of the versions, he says, Dionysus, please turn everything I turned into gold into regular things. I didn't realize that this isn't what I wanted. Dionysus goes, very good, you learned your lesson, I don't know. And then he does. There's another version though, where Dionysus goes, haha, you suck, I'm not gonna do that. And then the king dies from starvation and dehydration. Princess remains gold and is dead, and it's a much more morbid version. This musical is a tragedy, but it's not going the full morbid route. I haven't fully decided whether he can consume food or not. It depends how long the second act is. If it's all in the span of 2-3 days, a human can live without water and food for that long. I'm like briefly considering it, I'm not entirely sure. As you would expect, since it is one of the most important things in the myth, he does turn the princess to gold, accidentally. I'll leave it to Tech Crew to figure out how that's gonna practically happen way in the future, but it's gonna happen. But the big difference here is the role that Dionysus plays. We don't have a beggar, we have a vengeful Dionysus kind of cursing Midas in a way. Very much so, kind of acting as like a tricky genie in the way that genies will trick you with their use of words in your wishes, but it's not good. And I'm gonna wait to tell you the lore on why he's doing that, because that will be a song that will be explained in the lore of the musical, which will be like a tavern sense, tangled sense, you know, talking about the lore of the city and the potential things that have happened, and that's how we as an audience come to find that out. I do have to figure out the lore perfectly. It's gonna be there. But another cool thing about Dionysus that I wanted to share with you is how I'm going to use the ensemble to visually and physically communicate the kind of influence that Dionysus is having on characters in the plot. Once a character is getting more entrenched in the trickery, I guess, of Dionysus, we see more ensemble singing lines to them and being more involved in their soliloquies and their solo songs and all these things. People who are far removed and who are still very young and aren't part of this curse, like the princess, no Dionysus influence or ensemble members in sight. But for the queen and king who have been around and are really actively involved in this, and I'll tell you more later, I'm not gonna risk spoiling it for you just yet. They have many more ensemble members and more influence that multiplies as we're going through the musical. So that'll be like a physical way to express paranoia and the influence that Dionysus could be having on the actions of the show and the characters of the show. And this is why he is he is the main antagonist for the whole show. He's not some benevolent god like he is in the myth saying, wow, buddy, thanks so much for helping me out. He is very much actively making people's lives worse. So that's gonna be exciting. It also kind of lines up perfectly, since I'm literally making all this up, of the many things Dionysus is the god of. He's also notably the god of theater and the god of chaos. Like our poor queen descending into chaos. Isn't that just fine and dandy? And also theater in the sense of his vengeance and his revenge, putting on a show with people's lives at stake that we then are watching. So it's like a little meta. What a cool coincidence, he's the god of theater. So those are the differences about Dionysus in this musical. I hope that answers some questions. I know somebody was really excited in my YouTube comments, no way Dionysus is in this, and that's what actually inspired to make this video explaining it, to give you just a little insight on what role my boy Mr. D as they say in Percy Jackson, is playing in this musical. So follow along. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 10. And just a little secret for the YouTube people. Shout out to you guys. You guys are the best. Thank you for your kind comments. Always let me know what you think. And if things are making sense, my wonderful, wonderful songwriter friend, you need to check him out, Oliver Richmond. Do it right now. He's been writing a song a day for like 450 days. He's a beast. He actually inspired the series. Literally going to lunch with him, he's like, I was just doing it to like help myself get better. I was like, well, shoot, that's a fantastic idea. So he inspired the series. I went to dinner with him and asked him if he would co-write on something for Midas because he's just such a talented lyricist and songwriter, and he agreed. So I still have to figure out what I want to put him on, and we're gonna start making that happen. But that's just a little tidbit for you guys. And if you haven't checked out his stuff, check it out right now. Okay, see you guys for day 10.